But when we started, now, unfortunately for us, we started just as the internet, again, you could read it in a history book, the whole economy for technology basically collapsed in 2000, second half. So it wasn't a great time to be in technology. But what I will say is you play to concepts people understand. People have branch offices. People understand that I may have an office over here, and back then they didn't have cloud. You had file servers, you had databases in your office, you had mail servers in your office. So if you wanted another office, maybe some salespeople, maybe some marketing people, to get access to it, you needed a way for them to be able to securely access that data. So today I think people talk in terms of SASE. That's the more kind of familiar concept. But back then it was IPsec VPN. But the concept is the same. If you have branch offices, if you have remote workers, and you want them to be able to access something privately, then you need to be able to create kind of a virtual network for them. And so we talked to the concept, creating virtual networks securely, simply, speedily. That was our thing without a lot of like equipment or infrastructure. That was kind of what we focused on. It was so-so, to be candid. I did not get rich off my first company, but it was a good life lesson and we learned a lot.
And at this time, it was more about security connection than data privacy.
It was about security. So data privacy was not even a concept until GDPR. To be candid,
GDPR it was the
shift. I think. Look, security people are more familiar with now. This is still in the early days. So Checkpoint was already out. There's a handful like WatchGuard, firewall companies, and when we were building e-tunnels. We kind of said, look, you need to protect your network, but you also need to connect your network. It's that simple, right? You need to do both. So if you already solved the blocking thing with a Checkpoint or WatchGuard, this is even before Palo Alto. Now you need something to connect the offices and connect the people. That was the principle. Privacy really needed legislation. And I'll be honest with you, when we were starting BigID and going around Silicon Valley trying to raise money, and telling people that the use case we were focusing on was privacy, nobody knew what to make of it because there's no money there. If you said, do people buy privacy? It's lawyers, right? That's who buys privacy. And nobody in the US, and especially the West Coast of the US, knew what GDPR is. The joke I like to say is they couldn't spell GDPR. It was just a new concept and people didn't know how to quantify it. How big of a market is privacy? And why would somebody in security care about privacy? So honestly, in 2016, 2017, it was a much harder sell. And then in 2018, it became an easier sell. And that's when we won, you mentioned you go to RSA, the RSA Innovation Sandbox in 2018. So you almost saw that evolution in 2 years from like, what is it? To, hey, this is going to be a potentially big opportunity.